Yo, what's up, Swag? And you already know what time it is, man. It's your boy Keon Lar, aka KL Swag. Back here with a video, man. Look, man, we about to react to Sterling Shepard, bro. Gets into a fight with Troy Hill. A lot of you guys don't know who Sterling Shepard is, but he's a pretty good receiver, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I guess they had a joint practice. I ain't gonna lie, bro. It's a lot of fights going on, bro. With the joint practices and stuff like that, man. But hey, man, he got in a fight with Troy Hill, so let's just see if microphone put out the footage or whatever like that, because you couldn't get demonetized or whatever like that. But hey, man, let's just get into it, bro. Let's see what microphone talking about, bro.
I know what you guys might be thinking here, and yes, this is yet another training camp brawl video that I'm bringing you guys today. And it's very important that you guys know that no, we are not transitioning into MMA content or into boxing content. It just so happens that for some reason 2021 training camps are quite possibly the most tense and aggressive training camps we've had in quite some time.
Yeah.
Maybe because they
That's
didn't
like
really
3 fights already
last year, but I digress. Before we get to the content, just a reminder, man, I'm giving away a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X to a subscriber that turns on our notifications on this channel. I think even more importantly, and yes, I read the comments saying please don't do this, but I have to, otherwise YouTube won't push out my content, especially if I'm making content about a fight in training camp. But since we're doing content on a fight in training camp, there's a good chance that this video is going to get demonetized. If my video gets demonetized, then YouTube will not push it out to a larger audience because they won't put an ad on it, and therefore they can't make ad revenue off of the video. So the way we could counteract that is if you guys leave a like on this video, it'll push it out to a large audience, even though if it potentially gets demonetized. Now that we get all that out of the way, enough time to set up lineups and focus on the waiver wire and just stress myself out each and every week with all the details. Thankfully, there is a fantasy football league that allows me to just go based off of my fantasy football brilliance and not so much
fantasy. That's
on my ability to stay up till 3 in the morning placing waiver wire claims. And it's called Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy also has a great $1 billion tournament that you get a free entry to, so you could try it out. The way it works is you go ahead and you draft your team in the very beginning, and Underdog Fantasy so go figure. But feeling a little bit better today. I was going to take today off until bam, we got another fight, and yes, this time again from the New York Giants. So let's just jump straight.
I know you guys didn't want to hear that shit.
If you guys remember, it was literally just over 2 weeks ago since the last time the New York Giants were in headlines because they got into a fight. But that time was a little bit different than this time, as that time the New York Giants actually fought with one another, and it was more of a offense versus defense type of fight, including Corey Clement getting hit really hard at the end of the run. Then Evan Ingram retaliated, and then he got hit by Logan Ryan. Next thing you know, the quarterback of the team, Daniel Jones, was getting involved, and as a result, Joe Judge was so livid with the entire team that he had the entire team doing 100-yard runs.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Military style, and then lining up at the goal line doing push-ups. The atmosphere was described at that time as extremely tense, as Joe Judge was said to be explicitly cursing at his team in disappointment and anger. Afterwards, he rounded the entire team up again and sent the entire team home. But for the most part, the entire locker room seemed to have become better as a result of that entire exchange. And honestly, it's a significantly different story when a team fights within themselves and team decides to fight with another team in a joint practice. But I'd imagine that the disciplinary action may have carried over to joint practices, but I guess I was wrong. In this instance, Sterling Shepard, going into his 6th season with the New York Giants, got into a fight in the midst of a joint practice with the Cleveland Browns. And unlike the Antonio Brown incident from yesterday, this situation's a little bit more like the Aaron Donald fight that we covered a couple of weeks ago, where there's actually a storyline to it, and it's extremely unique and fairly unusual towards the end. So the fight was mainly between Sterling Shepard and Troy Hill of the Cleveland Browns, and you can see from this clip that it initially started from Troy Hill covering Sterling Shepard, and there was some jawing and some competitiveness going back and forth between the two of them. Honestly, this is nothing unusual to me. If you're a wide receiver going up against a cornerback in a joint practice and the cornerback that is covering you isn't on your team, a huge part of the game for a DB is to get into the wide receiver's head, and a huge part of the game for the wide receiver is to jaw back. And obviously, if it's hot outside and you guys are going back and forth at it all day, eventually trash talk could result in throwing fists. Now, as I was making this video, we actually have some footage, and it might be a little bit difficult to see here, but there's this one particular play to Sterling Shepard, which was a wide receiver screen that results with Sterling Shepard on the ground at the end of the wide receiver screen. And apparently this was one of many very big hits that Troy Hill got on Sterling Shepard that resulted in them fighting at the conclusion of practice. So in yesterday's video with Antonio Brown, we were only able to get screenshots from the entire fight. And to be honest, they were the cleanest screenshots that I think I've ever seen. The cameramen that are taking these pictures really deserve a raise. Like, some of these shots are insane, but today we have a special treat because not only do we get super clean pictures of the fight that took place, but we also have video as well. In addition to Sterling Shepard, immediately after the fight, went ahead and conducted an interview post-game with his shirt off, apparently. So check this out. Both Sterling Shepard and Troy Hill squared up and threw punches at one another at the conclusion of practice. Video footage did then leak to social media at the end of the fight that shows Giants wide receiver John Ross getting between Shepard and Hill and lifting Shepard off of the ground to bring him away from the scene. Now, I'm going to post the video footage in my Instagram story as well if you guys want to play it on a loop over and over again, or just send it to your buddies on Instagram. I'm also giving away copies of Madden 22 to anyone that follows me on Instagram or Twitter. But here's where it gets even stranger. At the conclusion of the fight, Sterling Shepard apparently takes off his shirt and then walks towards the buses alongside Giants wide receiver Darius Slayton, which is very normal. But then he would go about his business like nothing happened and conduct post-practice interviews with Giants media from New York and New Jersey, who were interviewing Daniel Jones at the opposite end of the facility as the fight was going down. So imagine if you're Daniel Jones watching Sterling Shepard fighting as you're giving an interview, and then Sterling Shepard is slowly approaching you, and then it's his turn to start conducting interviews with the media.
That's crazy.
Now, Shepard approaches the media without a shirt, and of course the Giants public relations employee would eventually give him one to put on for his interview. And the first question that he was asked was whether he was surprised that no fights broke out during practice, despite all of the trash talking that had transpired throughout practice. Now, I was looking for the video clip of this interview. I think unfortunately I made this video way too quickly, so maybe by the time this video is out, the actual interview will be there, and if it is, I'll post it onto my Instagram story.
Sterling Shepard was about to
roll, give you the words he said. So Sterling Shepard responds saying that, no, it's friendly competition. That's what we came out here for. It's competition. It's going to get into a talking match, and it's going to get physical out there. This is football. This is what we do. They understand that on that side.
That's true.
We understand that over here. Shepard then gets followed up with a question about how much he enjoys that competitiveness and that aggression. And Shepard responds saying that we got a feel for it yesterday, but we didn't have that juice we had today. But that's what it's all about. That's why we came out here to get good work, and I felt like that's what we got today. Now, if you think that's funny, wait until you hear Kevin Stefanski, the head coach of the Cleveland Browns, reaction to this fight. It's nothing like Joe Judge's reaction to the New York Giants getting into a fight in the midst of their own training camp a couple of weeks ago. When he was asked about the Sterling Shepard-Troy Hill fight and what he thought about the fight, Kevin Stefanski said he didn't even know that it happened and that this was news to him, and he thanked the media for breaking that to him. Now, there were multiple players getting into dust-ups, but nothing big happened. Like Jabril Peppers apparently got into it with Browns defensive lineman Malik Jackson. But earlier in training camp, Joe Judge made it clear, like we said earlier in the video, that he had a zero-tolerance policy towards fighting. fighting. So I guess that's why there was a fight at the end of practice and not in the middle of the practice, because when Daniel Jones was asked why he felt like there were no fights at practice on Friday, he responded by saying, y'all were there when we got into a fight, and he probably was referring to the fact that they had to run multiple full field gassers and to complete 30 push-ups
I know they
twice.
was dying.
Now, as of now, it is unknown whether or not any punishments will be handed out. It doesn't seem like this was as serious.
Probably not. It was
as
a joint
making
practice.
it
He
out
went
to
against
be, but
his
it's still very
opposite
entertaining
team.
because there's been multiple of these fights in the midst of training camp going on so far, and I don't know what's causing it. So let me know in the comment section down.
Hey man, just it's you're basically playing against another team, bro, in this practice, bro. Sometimes dudes get mad, and also that sun get to you too, bro. So hey, it be like that. But anyways, man, make sure you comment, subscribe. Let me know down below what you guys think and who won the fight, Troy Hill or Sterling Shepard.